Good evening, guys, and welcome back to FM with Old Man Phil. And I'm Phil, if you don't know me. And if there is anybody here, I think there's about three maybe people in the chat. If you are there, can you let me know? Can you see everything and can you hear me? That's the most important things I need to know at this point in time. Hopefully everything is okay and you can hear me loud and clear. And today, normally I would be getting very upset or feeling very happy. Tuesday evening, whichever way my Notts County save swung, and it was a little bit up and down and up and down. My mood would be going with it. But tonight I'm perfectly chilled because we are waiting for the entries for the transfer window for Notts County, and I've had two in. I've got to say, I've had two in, and both of them are very, very good. Has to be said, both entries are very, very good transfer windows, and one of them I'm not quite sure how you actually managed to get there, but it looks very good. And in the other one, you still have some money left, which is quite incredible. So both of those are very good, and we'll have a decision to make on Thursday. But for today, we're just going to have a look at how important it is to set up your game correctly. When you start a save, if you're a beginner, you're in the right place. If you're an advanced player of this game, been around the game for 10, 15 years, you're probably in the wrong place. We're not going to go into the nuts and bolts of the game in this 2 hours tonight. We're going to try and make things very, very simple so people who are beginners in the game can understand what they actually need to do and what they don't need to do, what they need to worry about and what they don't need to worry about. And I've come across a lot of comments in forums of late saying help. I don't understand. Why am I losing all the time? I don't understand this game. What do I need to do with that? What do I need to do with that? And I keep wanting to say you don't need to do anything. Ignore it. And so we're going to look at what people need to do and what they don't need to do as a beginner. Or if you're totally confused by the game, and I get totally confused by the game, but I'm old, so that's my excuse. So we're going to load a game, and people, when I was in a forum this afternoon, and I looked at a question which was, hey guys, I'm new to FM24. Can you suggest a save for me? And most of the answers were along the lines of pick a really good team, like Manchester City or PSG or Milan or Juventus, and pick a really good team, Liverpool. And I was kind of thinking, is that the best answer that you can actually give this person? And I was thinking, nah, if you're going to do it that way, I'm going to throw in Luton here or Nottingham Forest, because picking Manchester City is probably going to be more pressure on you than picking a team like Luton. If you get relegated managing Luton, you're not going to get sacked. They don't expect you to stay in the league, in the Premier League. So if you don't stay in the league, then unless you do like get 0 points at the end of the season, you're not going to get sacked. Whereas Manchester City is a different kettle of fish, and Liverpool, whereas you're under pressure from the get-go. So you take on Manchester City and you finish in fourth, or fifth even. If you finish in fifth, you're getting sacked. If you finish in fourth, you may well be getting sacked. Now, you might think that's a bit strange because you got them into the Champions League, but they are expected to get into the Champions League. More than that, they are expected to win the Premier League, and both the board and the fans have that expectation, and you take that expectation when you go to that club. So at both ends of the table, you put yourself under enormous pressure. So I would say to you, let's try and reduce the pressure that you're under. Let's pick a team where there's no pressure. And what you want to do, I think, is you want to pick a team that's mid-table. So we're going to go to a career, and I'm like, the Premier League is pressure, pressure, pressure. There's not a lot of games, and I want a season where there's a lot of games. So I'm going to go to the Championship. My very first save, I've never played the game before. And I can see there's tons of teams here, like Southampton. I'm thinking, oh yeah, we could do a good job with them. Leeds, Leicester. And these are teams I'm going to tell you avoid. Do not manage Southampton. Leeds, Leicester, because you are putting yourself under pressure immediately. For your first time out, you don't want to be putting yourself under pressure. So you want to pick a team that's a comfortable mid-table team. And I'm looking at teams like Coventry, Swansea, Cardiff. They're comfortably mid-table teams, but I'm actually going to pick another one. I'm going to go with Sunderland. Sunderland are probably going to be predicted to finish around between 8th and 12th. I'm not quite sure where they will be, but they're going to be like a mid-table team, and they're going to have decent enough players that you're going to have a chance of actually going better. I'm going to choose Real World for tonight. Normally you probably choose Original, because that gives you the opportunity to play in the transfer window. I'm going to pick Real World because it generally starts just before, or a fixture before the season begins, and all the transfers are done. So there might be a little bit of money left, and I don't really, though, want to involve myself in the transfer market in my very first few experiences of the game. So I'm going to pick Real World, and then I'll go to Advanced Setup, because normally I would add databases. So I'd probably, for a save of this nature, just have the I think that's the Italian league, is it? And then you have, no, that's the Italian league. One of them is the French league. One's the Italian league. And then I've got the Dutch league. And then I've got the Spanish league. And these are all playable. They're not view only. They're just playable. And so that's how I'd normally set it up. But I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to get rid of all those. Because for today, we're just going to be focusing on England. I'm not going to be playing this. It's just a tutorial. So we're just going to be doing it that way. I'm going to have a large database because I want as many players available to me as I possibly can have. I could go small, medium and large. And the reason these things are there is that it will slow or speed up your computer. My estimated game speed is 5-star, so we're looking good on a large database. And I'm just going to start the game. And yeah, we're going to start in July. I don't really want to get involved in the transfer market, and it's going to take a little bit of time to set up the database. And while it's setting up, you can go make yourself a cup of tea. But hopefully, because I've reduced the amount of stuff that is playable now, it should load up fairly quickly, which it's doing. And then people will often talk about the first few days. The first week is the most important part of your save. And they're right and they're wrong. Because what we've discovered, and I don't know if you saw the video that we uploaded, I'm just going to not mess about with this at all. We're going to use the profile that I already have set up. We'll suggest badges and experience based on Sunderland, and then we'll click start playing. And then we're off, and fairly quickly we are now installed as the manager of Sunderland. It's all very scary because this is my first time in the game, and I can see the shape they play for 4-3-3. I may do that or I may not. It just depends whatever mood I'm actually in at the time. This is the club vision. What they want us to do, play high tempo pressing football. Oh, goodness sake. Probably not a good idea for Sunderland, but we'll see later on. They want us to reach the playoffs. I didn't realise that. But okay, so they've set a challenge, but I don't think it'll be absolutely dreadful if we don't reach the playoffs. Might be, but at least it's not, we don't have to get automatic promotion. That's it. The other bit, be competitive in the cup. I don't know what that means. I think it means don't lose 6-0 in the first round. Develop players using the youth system. I just tend to just ignore all this. Just ignore it. And the reason why I'm ignoring all this is because it doesn't mean anything at the moment. I'm going to switch these meetings to every month because every week will get on your nerves. And then we just click save and we save it. Hi, Stephen. How you doing, my friend? Yeah, I've always been a motivator. Always, I do kind of like probably mistakenly think, Stephen, that if you are a motivator, put it all in motivating, then they've got a greater chance that they will listen to what you say. I don't know if that's true. I just believe it is. And I'm probably going to take a really strong argument from somebody to tell me no, that's wrong. I mean, I think the whole point, and sometimes when you're watching my streams, I'll say I'm going to berate the players. Not that it will do any good with the players, but it'll make me feel better. And there's a reason that I'm saying that, because I think if you're a motivator, basically if you try to berate them, they're not going to listen to you. I mean, you need to be a hard head, a hard nut, a disciplinarian if they're going to listen to you when you tell them off. You're disciplinarian and you shout at them, they're going to listen to you. They're going to be afraid of you. But as a motivator, if you berate them, that's not going to do any good at all. You should be looking to motivate them, words of encouragement and praise, and rather than berating them. So you will, I mean, like I will say in my always accept this. There's no point in trying to negotiate. It's your first day. You wouldn't go into any job and negotiate your contract on the first day. You just accept it and wait till later. So just accept that. Now, these are interesting. I don't want to take too much part in this. And one of the lovely things about this game is that it is a game. Good evening, Finley. How you doing, my friend? Remember, it's a game. So don't worry about it. So like, and as in every computer game, level 1 is really easy. Level 1, they're not going to try and trip you up on your very first day. That would be really mean of the game. So just look through these. And we've got one here, Patrick Roberts. I don't even know who he is. Patrick, well, he looks decent enough to be a championship player to me. Looks decent. So I don't know so much about an important player, but I'm not going to do that myself. I'm just going to go to here. Now I don't have an option, probably because I don't have a director of football. This was a bad example to actually pick. So can I ask the board? Yeah, I can get a director of football in. Yes, we've made it, Finley. 6,100 coming up, so we're doing well. We're still growing. Could do better, and we have to try and do a little bit better, but we're growing. So yeah, thanks to everybody out there for helping us to grow. So we are going to get a director of football in because I want him to do much of the stuff. And the first two things that I want to do is, one of them was there. So I've placed an ad, but I'm going to cheat. I consider this to be cheating. It's the only time in the game that I'm ever going to cheat, just on day one. And I'm going to do two things. I'm going to go and look for a director of football. So we're going to look for a recruitment director of football. Now, I want him to be fairly decent. And therefore, we're going to pick some attributes out here. I want him to be pretty good at negotiating. I want him to be fairly determined. I want him to be able to judge player ability and judge player potential. And I want him to have a good level of discipline. And that's it. That's what I want from him. And we'll see what we come up with there. Nothing is coming up. So we're going to have to reduce some of these. So let's go down to 14 for all of them. And we still got nothing. We'll take these down one at a time. It's not looking very good here in this search. There we go. We've got some popping up now. So we're gonna I consider this to be cheating. And it's the only 2 occasions that I'm gonna do that. I probably, as an experienced player, won't do it, but I'm recommending that you, as a novice, would do it. Is it cheating? Yes, probably. But if you're brand new to the game, don't worry about it. Who cares? I'm looking at these geezers, and he's negotiating 13, judging player ability 14, 15, and for me, he's got a good all-round set of skills. He's not the greatest motivator, but we'll forgive him that. He's adaptable. He's determined for this level. I think he's a pretty good fella. He's also not at a club yet, which makes it more likely that he will come to us. This guy is at Portsmouth, and he's not as good, so we'll disregard him. And then this guy is very determined. Now, I like him already because he's very, very determined. He's not as good in terms of the technical aspects that we need. And comparing him against the other chap that we had, Luke Dowling, slightly better in terms of judging player ability, negotiating. I think because of the spread of attributes for this guy, I'd prefer to go with this one. Now, before I go to approach to sign him, I'm going to put this guy on the short list just for a couple of months so that I can go back to him if the first one falls through. And then we're going to offer him a contract. We'll approach to sign him, and we'll skip all this nonsense. And we're just going to offer what he wants, basically. I don't want to give him a top I don't want to give him a top promotion wage rise. So to compensate for that, I'm going to put a few quid on top of his monthly salary. He's happy with that. Happy as Larry. And hopefully we will get in a director of football very soon. Patrick Roberts, we know we need to offer a new contract. I might leave it for the director of football when he arrives, or I might deal with that myself now. I just don't really want to deal with any of this stuff at the moment. And the second thing I'm going to do is have a look at my assistant manager. And he'll be here somewhere. He is Mark Venus. And is he very good? Yeah, I like the spread of the attributes. There's no 6s or 4s in here. He's not very good at judging staff ability, but who cares? He's an assistant manager. He's a football guy, and negotiating isn't important either. So his tactical knowledge is also something that I'm interested in. And judging player ability and tactical knowledge are what I want. And for championship level, he's very good. And so I'm going to keep him. I don't need to do anything with my assistant manager. From former Borussia Dortmund player, I think, Mola. Oh, is he? Oh, right. Is that who he is? That's interesting. You guys are so knowledgeable about this game. I need to just check my finances. We're doing okay in terms of finances. We still have 7 million left, which is very nice. So we can make a signing or two. And we're okay on the wage front. So I think if he's an important player, let's just get his contract done. And I don't want to go through that. And playing time, important player. We already know that's what's recommended. No, we don't want any of that nonsense. And we don't want to make any promises. 22,000 sounds like a lot to me. We'll just drop that down to under 20. The rest of it looks fairly reasonable. Yep, he's gone for that, and we'll go for that. Probably taken me very close to the amount of wage budget that we have. So that's it. That's done. The rest of them, no decision. And we'll skip all these. And we don't really need to do the search now because we've approached someone. And hopefully that will be done. Now, people say what you've got to do now is you've got to set up your training, you've got to set up all these different things, and no, don't worry about it. So we're going to do some things which mean that you don't have to worry about anything. Hey Sam, how are you doing? There's only 3. Your longest ever win streak is only 3. Well, that's a start, Sam. It's got to be said. That's a start. So what you want to do now is go here to responsibilities. You're new to the game, brand new to the game. There's a ton of things that go all the way down here. Let's just go down here and get rid of these things. And how do I know what's going on here? I have no idea. I'm brand new to the game. How am I supposed to know about any of this? What's this all about? I don't know. And training. I don't know anything about training. So I don't know anything about these things. And I don't want anything in my way at the moment. I don't even want... What is all this about? What's this nonsense? And so I don't want anything in my way. I want to get used to it slowly. So I'm going to go to my staff page and responsibilities. And one by one, we're going to look at these things. We're going to look at the staff, for example. And we can see we have 2 tabs. And handles team selections for Sunderland. Yep, I will do that. For the under-21s and the under-18s, I don't want to do that. Hiring, firing. Do I want to get involved with that at this point in time? No. I don't want to hire and fire anyone. I'm going to click delegate to all of this and just let the incoming director of football take control of all this stuff. It's not my job. I don't want to do that. Some people want to get under the bonnet and hire them all themselves. As a brand new player of the game, I don't. Don't worry your head about it. There's no point in worrying about this. Contracts also. I don't want to renew contracts. I'm going to bring in a person very good at doing it. So for me, as a player that's new in the game, I don't want to do it. And I'm going to delegate all these contracts. Click confirm. And that's done for the staff. And then for scouting, I'm going to do the same. Handle scouting meeting. Yep, I'll do that. But my chief scout can do everything else. Absolutely. I don't need to do anything else at all. So we'll click confirm on that. And then we'll go to transfers and contracts. I don't want to bother myself with transfers. I'm going to hire a director of football, and it's interesting because sometimes when you have played the game for a while, you have to go to an interview, a job interview, and they say, are you prepared to work with the director of football? And you say, of course I am. I love him because that's going to get you the job. And then you go to the club and then you don't work with him at all. His job is to actually find players for your club. And you totally ignore the fact that he's finding players. So let him do his job. So negotiating player signings, initializing people signings, but don't give him that one. Don't let him finalize it. And then we'll do the same for these ones for handling offers for players, for selling players. I'm going to keep this. But for the signing players, the director of football can do his job. And so he's going to be bringing them in. I will have the final say on whether or not we bring them in. Development loans. No, I don't want to do that. Someone else can do that. A loans officer can do that. And then under 21s, somebody else can do that. But I'll have the final say. Again, finalizing I will do. But somebody else can do the first bits. And we'll do that all the way down. Finalizing, okay, I'll do that. And the same down here. And that's it. So you're delegating all this stuff out to somebody else. Player contract discussions. For the first team, I'll do that. But for anybody else, no, I'm not interested. So I'll delegate those things out to the relevant people. this is doing is helping to take the stress off you. I don't want to do any of these things. I am dreadful with the press. I don't want to get involved with the press at all. You might be new to the game, but you'll soon realize that the press and meetings and all this stuff is rubbish. So I don't want to get involved. I'll delegate it. Training, I certainly don't want to lead the general training, so my assistant manager is good enough to do that. And I'm going to also, when I'm new, if I'm new to the game, I'm going to delegate the individual training. And it is quite interesting that that's what I've been doing in my saves this year. Everything that I'm doing here is what I have been doing in my saves this year. And I think I've won 16 trophies in 7 seasons. It doesn't make any difference at all. It really isn't making any difference. Tactics, yep, we can leave that as it is. Match, we will leave that as it is. Maybe I will arrange the friendlies. I like to be in charge of arranging the friendlies, but that's it. And that's it. That's it done. And set pieces, I don't think I have. I don't have a set piece coach yet. So I'm just going to confirm all that and then come out of it, and I can get on with the game now. And once the director of football arrives, we can put him in charge of the things that he's supposed to be in charge of, and that's getting players in and doing contracts. I don't have to worry them. Now, we do have players coming in. We have a goalkeeper coming in, joining us in August. We have, who is this? Pembele, who's a right back. He is joining us coming in from Paris Saint-Germain. Comes 1st of September. We have Auchiche, who's a centre mid. Technically not bad for Championship. Bentils could do with a little bit of work, but technically not a bad player for 21. He's a centre mid or an attacking mid. He's coming in as well. Burstow, who's a 19-year-old forward, is coming in. I don't rate him at all, looking at his technical ability. But, well, he's only coming in on loan. And another forward looks a bit better. He's coming in on loan from Zoria. So all these players will be coming in between July and September. And they're going out. There's a lot of players going out as well. And we could go into the squad planner, have a look at how that's affecting things. I don't want to worry too much about that. The game is not going to do... Hey, Gavin, how you doing? So the game is not going to do, in your first season as a player in this game, it's not going to do anything dirty to you. It's actually going to help you. Your first season, they're not going to harm you. So the most important things for you is the tactics and the way that you play the game. Now, tactics are like, you're going to be saying, well, I don't know anything about tactics. Well, that's why we're here. That's what we're going to do. And as a beginner, you're just going to be looking at this and thinking, what on earth is all this about? These are different styles of play. Now, I've developed over the years, I have a style of playing. I like to play short passing. I play fairly narrow because I like things to be compact and defensively solid. And I don't play with a very high tempo. I haven't played with a high tempo for years. I kind of like to have this kind of control possession game that Manchester City play. And it seems to work. And so it's about style of play. This is all this is what kind of player are you? What kind of manager are you? Are you an attacking manager? Are you a defending manager? Do you like to press teams? Do you like to back off teams and then counterattack? What kind of manager are you? And each one of these things will fit a certain style. But you can't just come into a club and put your style in, because my control possession style may not be suitable for Sunderland. If I come in and I say, and I actually will come into a club and I'll say, this is the way I play, and the club has to get used to me, not the other way around. So I'm not going to adapt my style to the team. I'm the manager, the team adapts to me. But when you've been playing for a long time, you know that that's possible. If you're new to the game, it will give you options. You can see the thumbs up. It's a gegenpress, based on the fact that we did remember in the club vision, they want to play high-tempo pressing football, gegenpress football. And then we have fluid counter-attack and Catenaccio, and that's park the bus. Basically, very, very defensive style. So not quite park the bus, but it's not far off. Came from Italy a while back, the Catenaccio. And it is a very, very structured form of play. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to be too defensive, but I want to be defensive. I don't want to be pressing. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to play a controlled possession game. And that's simply because I know what I want to play. If you don't know what your style is or whatever, then go and play as a gegenpress, and it will tell you what a gegenpress is here. It relies on every player in the team working hard, and above all else being fit and blah blah blah. Let's forget all that and let's reverse engineer it, and then we'll find a style from the team. So for now we're just going to go with control possession. We'll choose a formation. This generally tends to be the best formation. We're not being told that one is better than the other here. So we'll pick that one. And then we have ourselves a formation, we have ourselves a style, but it isn't finished. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to pick without restriction and pick the best 11. So I'm going to ask my assistant manager, because I don't know who they are, to pick my best 11. And, blimey, half of them are injured, are they? So we're going to have a few issues to deal with. But actually, it looks fairly balanced. I don't quite know why he's put forward as a complete forward. But I like a pressing forward. This boy can play as a pressing forward, so let's have him as a pressing forward. These roles I'm going to change. We're going to look at these roles in a minute, and these roles don't work for me. First off, championship players, I'm not going to play a ball-playing defender. They're not good enough, so they're going to be central defenders on defend, and if they're not very good central defenders, they're going to be no nonsense centre backs. And what I'm going to do is to begin with, I'm going to go with fullbacks on support. They're more defensive. And why am I going to choose a fullback and not a wingback? Well, a wingback is a more aggressive fullback. So for this time, I don't want to be leaking goals, and at the beginning of the season, when they're getting used to it, I don't want to be leaking goals. And if they're a wing back on attack, his starting position is going to be up here, and that's going to leave a lot of space for the opposition behind here. So I'm going to have them fullbacks, and their starting position now is going to be around about this point. They're going to be low enough that they're going to be able to adjust their position if we lose the ball. Now, if these boys have got bags of pace, if he's got like 16 or 17 acceleration and 15 pace, then put him as a wing back on attack, his starting position up here. Because if we lose the ball, he has the pace to get back and cover this space. But this guy's a bit of a donkey. If he's up here and we lose the ball, he's going to really struggle to get back down to here. So have them at full backs. Their starting position is going to be slightly lower. They're going to be able to cover space, and that's how you become more defensive rather than attacking. But you have to have a balance between attack and defense. So these don't work for me either. I want to have a segundo volante in there. You have a segundo what? And you're going to have a look at the rolls. If you're a beginner, you're going to have a look at the rolls. And you're going to have to read what it says. The segundo volante is different from the deep line playmaker in that their role is primarily a defensive role. You're going to have to go through that. It's just basically an aggressive deep line playmaker. I don't want him on attack, not at the beginning. Support, he's still going to be getting up and down here, getting into forward spaces. But if I have him on attack, then he's going to be just a little bit too aggressive, which means I've only got one who's having any defensive responsibility here. And then I'm probably just going to use an anchor. An anchor is basically what it says. He's going to anchor everything. He's going to sit here and support the defense. He won't go forward very much. And as you get used to the roles, a defensive midfielder, even on a defend duty, will start deep, but he'll still wander. He'll still wander up the pitch. Whereas an anchor will just sit here. He's not going anywhere. And so we have... He is probably better off as an attacking midfielder for now. And we'll have one winger. Maybe we'll have a winger on attack here. And we'll have an inside forward on support here. There's a little bit of an imbalance here because I have an attacking threat on the right, but I don't have an attacking threat on the left. So what I'm going to do is make my fullback an attacking threat. So my fullback now is going to start a little higher on the left, and then he's going to go up and down that touchline. He's going to, as a fullback on attack, he's going to get forward and get crosses into the box. So I have an attacking threat on both sides of the pitch. I have an attacking threat through the middle. I'm going to have a segundo volante coming up into these positions here. And so I've got a pretty good balance, I think, between defense and attack. And that's when you're setting up your tactic, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a balance. Have I got enough attackers? Have I got enough defensive cover? So I believe that I've got enough defensive cover here. What I might actually do is switch those over. And we'll put the anchor on this side. And we'll put the segundo volante, not on attack duty, on a support duty. We'll put him on that side because we have a fullback here who's supporting here. Whereas on this side, we might find that our fullback is caught out of position. And if the segundo volante is also gone missing on this side, then there's a big space in here with just one player covering. So switch them over. Just remember, it's all about balance. You've got to get a balance in terms of how you are going to play. Where is your attacking going to come from? So that's the first thing we're going to do. It's still loose. Nothing is written in stone. So now I'm going to just reverse engineer it, and we'll go to, first off, we'll go to outer position. We know they want to press, so we are going to have them pressing. At the moment, we'll put the trigger press to much more often, and therefore we'll need to have a high press. We'll also, for the moment, have a higher line, and we'll have a look at if this is justified in a minute. We'll leave that alone. And I'm going to leave that alone for the moment. We will leave this alone for the moment. But I will stop crosses. And that's just me. Because I think it's really important to stop crosses. Unless you have all your back line is 6'5", then I think it's important to stop the crosses. I mean, what happens in FM is that you generally tend to have 5'9" fullbacks who are guarding the back post, and then there's a 5'8" winger who comes charging in here and nods it in from the far post. I like just to stop the crosses. Do your best, boys, to stop the crosses. And so we're going to look at this as a way of playing. That will incorporate some sort of press. And now we're going to go to our squad planner. And we're going to have a look at our squad, which doesn't look very good, actually. And we're going to make sure that we look at the squad as a whole and then the different positions. Now, for the defensive line, I'm interested in the defenders, not in the attackers. They're nothing to do with the defensive line. So I'm particularly interested in only the defenders for now. And for my defensive line, I wanted to... Do I want a high line? Are we good able to deal with a high line? Or do I need to drop it back a bit? That's what I'm thinking about. And the two reasons why goals are scored is because we're not fast enough or skillful enough to get back to cover balls over the top, and because defenders make mistakes. So we're going to have a look at the things that cause mistakes and cause goals to be scored. Acceleration for my defenders is 11.89, and that's not good. That is not good. They do have 12.44 of pace, which again is not great. I would prefer if their pace was, the defensive pace was around about 13, and acceleration was 13 as well. This is low, so their ability to actually turn and get back to balls over the top is not brilliant. Couple that with their balance and their agility. Agility is 11.5, and their balance is 12. Again, it's not very high. Good Premier League clubs who can do these kind of things well will have between 13.5 and 14.5 as an average. This is not good. And even if it's the best in the league, just because it's the best in the league doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean that they can do it. It means it's the best in the league and the others are rubbish. So their ability to turn is poor. And so do I want teams rifling balls over the top and my defenders cannot turn and get outpaced and goals are going to be scored? That's the first thing I'm going to look at. And then we're going to look at some other reasons why they might give away goals. They're not very strong. My defenders are not very strong, so they may get muscled off the ball. And it's something that you need to think about. Their jumping reach is okay for the league, but it's still not very good. Jumping reach is not very good. If we look at their mentos, and this is mostly where you'll find that mistakes are made, their anticipation is poor. They're not very brave, so they're not going to go into situations. They're going to back off rather than dive into things. Their composure, although they're second in the league, their composure is terrible. 12.44. They are going to make a lot of mistakes because their composure lets them down. Their concentration is dreadful. So mistakes are made because players don't concentrate particularly well. The decision making is really bad, and so they are going to make poor decisions and will give goals away from that. And all the way across the board, you can see that they have problems. And I would say that that is not a good sign, and I don't want them to be defending particularly high up the pitch. Now, because I've lowered the line now, I'm going to ask the boys as a team to step forward more. Basically, that's going to try and compress the midfield zone. So when we actually, when we lose the ball, then we're going to ask them to immediately step up so that it compresses the space in midfield. The only way I think that we can deal with that. But the reason why I want it to be a standard line is because they are going to make mistakes. So when they are receiving the ball, and this is a long kick forward, the opposition will be pressing them. If they are deeper, then they will have a little bit more time to receive the ball and then distribute it. If they're too high up the pitch, they don't have the same amount of time, will get pressured into making mistakes. So I'm just going to drop it down. And it's not the end of the world if we've got that wrong, but my gut feeling is just drop that down for now. We'll have a look at what happens in game, because in game we can just push it back up. If it doesn't look right or feel right, we'll just push it back up. But for now, I think it's best. Now, the high press, this is also something that we have to think about. We do want to play with a high line, but we have to think about the pressure that we're going to put the opposition under. So we're going to go back to and now we're going to look at the midfielders and the strikers. So we're going to look at their ability to put the opposition under pressure. So we'll go to midfielders and strikers. They don't have great pace. So their acceleration, their ability to accelerate to put players under pressure, it's not there. I'm looking in terms of their pace is very poor, so it's not there either. And in terms of their mental, their technicals, in terms of putting pressure on them, I can't see anything that would lead me to believe that. Let's go to the mentals. They're not very aggressive. You want to put a press on, you're going to have to be aggressive. They don't work very hard. So how are they going to press, to trigger press the opposition when they don't work hard and they're not very aggressive? And their concentration is poor. We know that. And generally, their fitness levels is not good. Their teamwork is not good. You need a sense of teamwork. And where's their work rate? Work rate is dreadful. I would say having this team run around like this is silly. So I'm going to bring that down. I still am going to try and prevent the goalkeeper short distribution, but only when the goalkeeper is poor. I'm good, Matty. How are you doing? How are you doing? So I've pretty much sorted out how we're going to play here. I also now can move to this screen. I know I have to take that off because this team does not have the ability to counter press. We just saw that. They don't have the work rate. They don't have the fitness. They don't have the stamina. They don't have the aggression. We just saw. So why would we want them to do it? And that's not going to happen. I know it says in the club vision that we have to play high tempo, but this team is not capable of doing it. And until we have a team capable of doing it, we're not going to do it. So we're going to take that off. We're not capable of doing it. Counterattack. We need to work out, are they capable of counterattacking? If we go back to our squad planner, now we need to look at the team as a whole here, because when they counterattack, they're all going to go forward as one. So we're going to look at the counterattacking ability. Just check the time. Just counterattacking ability of this team. So we're going to look at the physicals. And basically, if you're going to counterattack, you need to be quite fast. If you've got a team of cart horses, you are not going to be able to counterattack. Counterattack is to receive the ball and to immediately go as one, as a mass, up the field at speed and score. But if you are a team that doesn't have any pace, you're not going to be able to do that. So this team is going to struggle to counterattack. Its acceleration is poor. Where's the pace? Pace is just as bad. So counterattacking doesn't really look like an option, but pace is not the only thing that we need to be looking at. You look at the technical, and the first touch is good. Well, it's not good. It's the best in the league, but it's still not good. And I'm really looking for things like dribbling, which is not good. Dribbling will help in counterattacking, and so we can't do that either. And passing. and the passing is not very good either. So do I really want them? Do I trust them to be able to counterattack en masse and remain as one, as a team, work together as a team when they're like 11.96 as a team? I can't see it myself. They don't work very hard. So all this is suggesting to me, if they don't work very hard, then what we need to be doing here is not counter-attacking. In fact, they are so bad, actually, that they will get... If I ask them to go forward, then they will have problems. They'll get themselves out of shape because they are so bad at doing it. They'll cause themselves problems. So I might even ask them just to hold their shape. That's it. So we don't want any counter-pressing nonsense, and we don't want any counter-attacking. In fact, they're so bad at counter-attacking, I might just ask them to hold their shape. And then I will ask the goalkeeper to slow it down as well. He can distribute all across the back line. It doesn't matter. We'll have a look at the goalkeeper. He looks like he's a decent goalkeeper. And we're going to look at his distribution. His passing, though, is only 11, and his kicking is only 12. So I don't really want him taking too many risks. So we're going to ask him just to take short kicks, or even just to roll it out. Probably better for him. So really what I'm doing here is I'm building this based on what I find in here. And can they do it or can't they do it? And at the moment, they're not looking very good. So now we've done that screen, and we want to move to this one. Well, we know, we've just found out they're not very good at passing. So if they're not very, one of the things that is at fault in this game is that we don't know whether they're good, whether they're bad at short passing and good at long passing, or whether they're bad, you know what I'm talking about, the other way around. We don't know whether they're good or bad at long or short passing. That's part of the problem of the game. I'd like to know if the team is good at long passes, if the team's good at short passing. Generally, I would err on the side of caution. If a team in the squad planner can't pass, if you can't pass, then you're not going to be good at spraying the ball around at speed. If you're a good passing team, you'll be able to spray all kinds of different lengths of passes at speed all over the pitch. If you're not very good at passing, then keep it simple. And the most simplest form of passing is short passing. And we don't want, in the championship, you do not want your defenders playing it out of defense, trust me. And so we're going to play with a shorter, because they're not good passes of the ball. Shorter passing, slightly lower. The reason why I don't go further to much shorter and lower is because if I go down there, it doesn't give me any leeway in game to change something. And because I want them to slow the game down, I'm going to ask them to time waste a little bit. And that means the whole game is being slowed down. I know I'm going against what the boards say, but the board and the fans are easy to win round. If you start getting 10 wins on a trot, they will go along with the way that you play. And they'll love it. So don't worry about the board and the fans. However, if you lose 10 games on that trot, then you've broken what they wanted in the cub vision. You're in trouble. So I'm going to, because this team, if we go to, this team is predicted to finish in mid-table, so I want to play in a positive way. Generally, I want to play in a positive way. Don't want to be negative. I want the mentality of the team to be that we want to go forward. This is about risk-taking, and we want to take some risks. If we're going to score goals, we're going to need to take risks. And we don't want to completely go attacking, or very attacking, because that's taking too many risks, and we're going to get caught out. So we're just going to be very positive about the way we play. And we'll go back here. Because we are playing shorter passing, a slightly lower tempo, I don't want to be playing with any width either. I don't want to be playing out of defence, and I don't want to be passing into space. Work the ball into the box. This is part of the same deliberate, slow, let's keep the ball. And then we need to look at whether or not we are very creative, or whether... No, it's not. It's not a new save, Andrew. It's just going through how I would set up a game. That's basically it. Now I've got enough on my plate, and we certainly wouldn't be buying Langstaff. That's for sure. The bane of my life. And yeah, we need all that we need to do now is to find out whether or not we want to dribble, or whether we should be more disciplined or more expressive. So we'll go back to our squad planner and our report, and we don't need the goalkeepers involved in this. We would just want to find out, are we good dribblers? 11.35. No, we're pretty lousy at dribbling. We can instruct the players who are good at dribbling individually. And we also know our agility and balance isn't that great as well. So for dribbling, you need to have a sense of balance and agility. Our acceleration is poor. You need to be able to run if you're going to dribble. Dribbling, no, we can't do it. So if you can't do it, don't click that on. Don't click run at defense. Dribble less. We can't dribble. And we just need to look at our ability in terms of creativity, passing, vision, and flair now. And we'll go back. We don't need the goalkeeper involved. The technical passing is, as we know, it's not great. It's only 12. Vision. Where's the vision? Vision will be in the Mentos. Vision is only 11. That's even worse. Flair is 10. I think we can just say, okay, just leave that off. If it gets worse, if we're passing to the opposition all the time, we might need to say, let's be more disciplined, stick to the plan. But for the moment, we'll just leave that off. And there's just one more thing to do, and we just need to look at how we intend to attack. At the moment, we have this inside forward coming in here. He's not an attacking threat, but he is going to be outside the box and looking for players to feed. And so this attacking midfielder needs to be getting further forward, because what I want him to be doing is to be getting into the box. He's there to support this pressing forward. The pressing forward is going to be coming into these areas, and we need these two working off each other. So I want him to get further forward. The winger on attack, and he's going to get to... He's just going to be going from here to here. That's his role. That's his job. And we can see that his crossing is not brilliant. So basically, I want an element of surprise here. So basically what I'm going to do is, with this fullback who's on support, I want him coming in here. And I want my winger to go carry the ball up to here and stop. Because he's not great at crossing, just stop there. And then look for this geezer who's coming in here, and then he can cross from there. And that is going to be a much more dangerous cross from the edge of the box than this winger who's trying to cross from near the corner flag. So if we look at the fullback's crossing, it's 10, but that's going to be good enough if he's crossing from inside here. So basically, what I'm going to do is, on the right-hand side, I'm going to ask the team to look for the underlap here. So basically then what that means is this winger is going to get the ball here, dribble up here, stop, and then look inside, and hopefully this fullback or the segundo volante is going to be bombing up here in support. We're going to have two players in the box ready to receive his cross, plus the inside forward coming inside. We're going to hopefully have enough bodies in the box that will allow us. We're also going to have the fullback who's going to be up here as well. We're going to have enough players forward to be able to get on the end of any crosses we get in. Kumalo. I think that boy is such a good player. Kumalo. I've never found such a good player. I was playing the main save this afternoon. And boy, he's just on fire already. He scored, I played 3 games. He scored 4 goals and 3 assists. He's just on fire, that boy. I just love him. He's such a good player. And, boy, I don't know what I'd do without him. So now we have to take these boys out. We'll deal with the team selection in a minute. But now I think I've got a very, very good team. And I've got a very good tactic. And if this doesn't get me to the playoffs, I will be very, very surprised. And that is the basis of your season 1. This is what you need to do. Forget everything and just have... So what we've done is we've allocated everything to a member of staff, i.e. the director of football, and all we have to worry about is a tactic and playing on the pitch. So this is brilliant now because we can just get on with the game. I'm not quite sure where we are. We have no friendlies left to play. And we have a championship match coming right up against Ipswich. And we're going to play that game. Now, don't be surprised if we lose a few. Because that's going to happen. Because if we look at this, we are not very... The way I've set them up, they're not very familiar with it. So they're going to lose a few matches. And people tend to panic. And I remember when we did the Burnley save last year, and we got to the Prem in our second season, our first season in the Prem, and that team was awful. It was awful in the Championship. I don't know how we managed to get the automatic promotion, but for some reason that team could not play. And so getting them into the Prem, we were awful. And I think we lost all our games. We never won a game until the end of November. As I recall, we then went away to Manchester City and away to Liverpool and won both of those somehow. And then after that, we managed to survive and finished in 14th. But we didn't win our first game until the end of November. And the reason why I've picked the Championship as a place to start is because in the Championship, there's a ton of games to play. There is a ton of games that you've got to play in a season. And so it is going to allow these boys to become familiar with the tactic. And so that's basically all we are going to do. We're going to move forward and we're going to play a couple of games as well. And I don't like these meetings because they are just a waste of time, really. But when you are doing your first meeting, if you're a beginner and you're doing your first meeting, remember what I said, is the game is not going to try and trip you up. If you're in your 4th season, the game's going to try and trip you up. It's going to try and figure out, are you concentrating or not? First season, it's not. So if this says make him captain, I'm going to go along with that, and I guarantee there will be no players saying that it's a bad idea and getting stroppy. So we're going to accept that suggestion. And pretty much I'm going to accept all of this, except for any staff suggestions. So, okay, and then end meeting. Now, the staff, we are currently short of a ton of staff. But don't worry about that, because the director of football, when he comes in, has instructions to hire and fire staff. So he will do all that. And I know a lot of players will spend a ton of time just going through to this staff search. Oh, I need to find a coach, I need to find a scout. And they'll go through and they'll get these two right up to the top, the best in the league as soon as you arrive. I think that's cheating. because that doesn't happen. You don't immediately sack all the staff on day one and then bring brand new staff in from all over the country. These staff, they know the team. So we'll only change those over time, gradually over time. We're not going to have a brand new set of staff right from day one. So we did cheat earlier to get the director of football, and we would have with the assistant manager, but we didn't need to with the assistant manager. So I'm going to let him do that as and when. It won't take long. Within 2 seasons, he'll have pretty much the best team in the league. Don't worry about it. If you've got a good director of football, he will figure it out. And within 2 seasons, you'll be much, much better looking than you are here. So don't worry about that. The other thing that we have to do is have a look at the squad. And we want to have a look, are we strong enough in all departments, and identify where we might not be. We have Nathan Bishop coming in. So we have 2 goalkeepers. Might not be enough. We have 4 right backs. 3 good left backs. Plenty of cover at central defence. Plenty of cover in central midfield. Plenty of cover there. We have plenty of cover in all positions, but that's not telling me much. So I'm just going to go to this view, and I can see at left back we're fine. Sirkin, I like him. He's a good left back. And we got 2 very, very nice central defenders on the left, plenty on the right. We've got 2 good right backs. Not bad in midfield, not bad. Not bad at all. So I'm really thinking the only thing that might be a problem for me is up front. I don't really have a striker. This boy is coming in, but I'm not convinced. Not convinced by him. So we do have some money available, 7 million. So what I might ask the scouts to do, if I go to my scouting, skip that because it's a waste of time. If I go to my scouting, I can see they've got Sky Bet Championship, Premier League, Sky Bet League One, England and UK and Ireland. Those are the active recruitments at the moment. If I go to my staff and look at my scouts, I don't have enough scouts to be able to do that. In fact, the number of scouts that I have at the moment, scout 1, 2, 3, 4. Why is he a coach? What is a coach doing in there? I don't know. We have room for a lot of scouts. But the most important thing for me is to fill the gaps that I have. So one of these, in terms of the scouting, I'm going to get rid of one of these. I don't particularly want to be scouting Sky Bet League One, or maybe let's get rid of the big one, UK and Ireland. And then what I'm going to do is create a focus where I want to be looking for a striker and an attacking mid. And we'll take, anything from 2-star all the way up to potential ability of 3.5. Well, let's make it 3. And then we'll just make this 30. And any particular area, we'll just go to UK and Ireland, because that's where we took that from. We'll make it an ongoing one, because we need to find one of these. And further details, what I might do is just add work permit is likely. And that's it. We'll go for transfer and loan and confirm. So now I've got him looking, got one of them looking for specific players. So now I can get on with the game, basically, and not worry about anything. And we're going to go and play this game, because the only other thing that you need to worry about now is, how do I get out of this nonsense? It's the set piece. You have to take this. Set pieces, I don't want to involve myself in either. But I'll have a little bit of a say. We'll have a hybrid near post. We'll go with the old near post. Balanced. Near post. Balanced. And I like an in-swinger. They like an out-swinger. Well, we'll go, because they're going to deal with it. Let them have an out-swinger. I've actually never played with an out-swinger, so that'll be quite cool. So I'm just going to let them deal with the set pieces. And I don't think we have a set piece coach, do we? Or do we? Let's have a look. Set piece coach. I don't think we have one. So maybe I can ask the board. Can I ask the board somewhere? Because it would be nice to have a set piece coach. So make a board request. Add set piece coach. They will probably say yes, it's okay. So I'm going to let the backroom staff deal with that. We're going to go and play a football match. And then we're going to look at how you play. And one of the things that I have noticed is this game will frustrate you to death. Yay, we can have a set piece coach. So let's go to our third cheat of the day. And we'll edit our search and we'll look for a set piece coach, because we're new to the game. We want as good a set piece coach as we can get. So his attributes needs to be good at set pieces. Oh, there is one available. 17 for set pieces. I'm just going to come down to 14 to see if there's anybody who's got... No, he's the best one that's available. So let's make an approach to sign him. And hopefully he will accept that deal. And that'll be job done. I'm still waiting for my director of football to come in. Once he comes in, then we can update all that, and then some target. No, we try and avoid giving players targets if you can. It's just more promises, and eventually you do. So the club vision was, before you go into this meeting, remember what the club vision was: reach the championship playoffs, because you need those to match. So I'm going to I'd like to introduce myself. I'd like to talk about the EFL Championship, and I think we can go on and make the playoffs. We're all very pleased. Now that's it. I don't want to talk about anything else, and I'm going to just leave everything else. I have nothing else to talk about now because they're all very pleased. I don't want to upset them now, so we'll leave the meeting. So don't be tempted to talk to them about anything else. A lot of injuries here, which is not very good. And we've got another one. Fantastic. 3 to 6 months. Luckily, this is not a save that I'm doing. And so we'll go and we'll play. Now remember that I don't know this team. And this is another one. I don't want to meet the medium. I'm going to decline this. It probably means I'm going to lose the first match because I declined to meet the media. Now when you're playing, we're going to do two things. Because the game will frustrate you. If you play in key highlights, you will get a lot of highlights. The game will show a lot of highlights for you, but it will show very few for the opposition. So when you are watching the game, they will have one highlight and score. You've had 5 and you've hit the bar 4 times and the other one's gone wide. And you're wondering what's going on. It's just that the game is not showing their highlights. It's only showing yours. So you want to be playing at least in extended. If you're new to the game, play in extended. Don't play in key highlights. Get an idea of what is going on the pitch. I'd say go to comprehensive. Just give yourself some time to watch what is going on the pitch. Before I get to the game, which I'm going to have a look at this to see if this can help us out. But we're not going to worry too much about it because mostly the assistant's going to do it. I believe we've got a good enough tactic. Nathan Bishop has arrived. Oh, okay. And assign the squad number, auto number. That's done. And then squad registration. Good lord. Auto select. There's a lot of stuff that needs doing in there. There's only 12 in the squad at the moment. So let's try and sort this out. Which we can't do. Oh, he's out on loan, is he? Don't worry about that. We'll deal with that in a minute. Not quite sure why we can't do that. So the board have blocked the transfer of Luke Dowling. I don't want him as technical director of football. I want him. Okay, so we will cancel the transfer. And then we'll need to wait until that list comes in for the director of football. It's easy to make mistakes in this game. So basically, who's this now? Set piece coach is accepted. I always click that ask to recommend a signing, but I've never seen one of their recommendations. All this time I've been playing in FM24 and 23, I don't know where the game has hidden their recommendations. I have no idea. Patrick Roberts, who, remember, he was the guy at the beginning, and we asked, we did a contract for him. He's accepted now, so that's done and dusted. I'm going to leave everything that happens to the assistant manager, and unless I really feel strongly about something. Remember, he is a good assistant manager for this level. I don't know this team. He does. So I'm going to think to him for the time being. There's nothing I can do about this yet. For some reason, you can't praise them until it's about 4 or 5 games in. And the season is getting underway. Team selection advice. A lot of you who watch me when I'm playing live, even now as an experienced player, I tend to look at this. I tend to take this seriously. And remembering that in your first season, the game's going to be kind to you. So he's not going to screw things up. That's Bradley Dack. Come on, you're having a laugh. But he looks pretty good. So he's not a forward, though, is he? But he'll do. I expect he'll do a good job. Why not put Bradley Dack up? I think as a pressing forward, he's got the attributes to be a pressing forward. So I think he'll probably be okay. So we got Bradley Dack. I just think I don't know them from Adam. So I'm going to go with the assistants. Certainly for the first 4 or 5 games, I'm going to go with what the assistant says. And another player's gone out. Groundsman asked. Now this, people don't think about this too often. The groundsman has asked me for pitch size. We are playing very narrow, and we want the pitch also to be compressed in the middle of the field. I don't want a huge long pitch that teams can throw long balls over the top of my defense. So I want a shorter pitch as possible and as narrow a pitch as possible. And at the moment, 100 meters by 64 is the favorite. We'll go with that. So now I've got a very short pitch and I've got a very narrow pitch, and that suits the way that I've set the team up. And I don't want that either. Recruitment meeting, I'm going to decline that because it's a waste of time. And Whittaker, who's he? See, I don't know anything about this team. He's a technical director. Okay. whatever. I'm still looking for my list that'll come in eventually, because we have an advert out for a director of football, and I need to get him in quite fast because I need to use that 7 million. I want to get some signings in, so hopefully we'll get him in quite quickly. Nothing happens in the next week, we'll go and look for one. And whoever that is, the head of youth developments, made an offer for Tomini Adeyemo. Why would you do that? He's 18 years old. Would be a useful signing for the future. I'm not looking for useful signings for the future, so I will just go in here and find him and say, nah, let's cancel that offer, because I'm not looking for, I'm looking for better players than that. So we'll say no to that, and we'll skip that as well. Now, before I go to my fixtures, we're going to very quickly have a look at Ipswich. And there's 2 team reports that I'm going to look at. One is the scout report, and the other one is the comparison report. So basically, when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at their strengths and weaknesses, and it looks like a big mass of nonsense at the moment. But I'm going to look now for groups of things. For example, like pace and acceleration, they go together. And that will go together also with balance. If you've got good balance as well as pace and acceleration, then you're going to be a threat. So they've got pace and acceleration here. So I'm going to look for balance, which is not there. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to be good at getting past us or putting balls over the top. So passing is going to be an issue now. I'm looking for passing. In order to get balls accurately over the top, they need to be good passers. But if they're going to just sit back and lump it, if they're going to play direct and lump it, it doesn't matter whether they're good or bad passers, because their finishing is good. And if that goes well with their composure, then we could be in trouble. However, their anticipation's good, but their composure is not great. And they're not very aggressive. I'm looking for things that will go with aggression. So things like strength and aggression, strength, what else will go? Bravery, tackling. So they're not brave and they're not aggressive. So we want to get stuck into them. So I am going to ask these boys to get stuck in. But I'm going to just make sure that we go and have a look at our team's tackling. So we're going to look at the technical ability, tackling. It's not great, but they should be able to do it. So I think that that's probably okay. Just get stuck in. They're not brave. They're not. So if we put ourselves about, we should be able to hold on. So there was nothing really in that, apart from the fact that they are very pacey. And so because they have pace, we are doing the right thing to have the line as standard. And the other thing I'm going to look at is just basically this comparison. And it's kind of like an attack versus defense thing. Finishing and composure. And this is like our attacking against their defense. So if I look at our attacking pace, 12.5 and 12, and their defensive pace, they're faster than us. So passing the ball into space would not be a good idea. We need to pass the ball to feet, retain possession. So I want to have a look at how good our passing is. It's we are slightly better in terms of passing than the opposition. So I want us to keep possession and focus on that we are stronger. And in terms of their pace, they have very, very quick up front, and our defensive pace is very poor. So yes, we do need to drop the line a little bit so that we are not caught at the back. So we have a problem because we are not very familiar with the tactic, and this is going to be a good Ipswich team. opposition instructions for the moment until I learn as a beginner, until I learn what I have to do. Leave it to the assistant manager. He's a good manager. And generally, when they say focus play down the right, he's doing it for a reason. And I would say if he just says it will increases our chances of getting a positive result from the match, I'm going to ask why. He's not telling me why. If he was saying that they are weaker down the left-hand side, I probably would click that. But because he's not telling me why, remember this is a computer game. And sometimes it will say because they're weak in the middle or because they're weak on the left-hand side. He's not saying why here, so I'm not going to do it for now. I'm just going to remember it. And if things are not going well, I might put that in. And reduce support duties now. I'm happy with my team, and he's now trying to get me to play like they're used to playing. But for me, it doesn't matter. I want them to play in the new way of playing. So that's it. We're ready to go and rock and roll. I sort of check the bench because generally he will leave someone off the bench and then they will have a really poor game. But I think he's pretty much covered the bench. So we're going to play this game, and what we're going to do, we're going to go to preferences, and we're going to click off match sounds. And I want it in extended. If I was playing on my own, I'd put it in comprehensive. I want to see what's going on. And match speed during highlights is okay. Match speed between highlights, I'm going to bring it down 1. So I can keep an eye on the stats. So that will be okay. I just want to make sure the sounds are off. Yep. So we'll confirm that. And we'll go and submit the team. Now remember that we are not familiar with this tactic, and if we lose, it's not a big deal. Also remember that we have a long time in this league. There's a lot of games to be played, and so losing a few at the beginning is not going to be the end of the world. We are favourites here. Let's play like that. And you're not going to find, generally, a lot of this turns green. They're a bit wary of you coming in. This is your first game in charge. And you're not going to find that they're going to be looking at you with a little bit suspicion. You've actually changed completely the way they're going to play. So now we're just going to be looking at how the game pans out. And I'm going to select the TV because that's how I like it. Camera height, I want that. Camera zoom all the way in, and the rest is fine. I don't want to put the sound on. I would normally have the sound on, but we won't put the sound on. And that's it. So now I'm going to look at how things play out. I'm going to look at the position of the players. The fullbacks. Have we got a red card already? No. And that's something that I might have to think about. And maybe for now, maybe let's not get stuck in. So I'm looking at where the fullbacks are starting. Are they too high up the pitch? Are we going to be risking giving their wingers way too much space behind? Because I've got a funny feeling that they're going to play long balls like that. And so we need to be able to get in before. How did I know they were going to play like that, eh? And so, again, I don't want us dribbling, so I'm going to be looking at the fullbacks. Are you dribbling too much? Are the wingers dribbling and losing the ball? And what can we do to sort that out? At the moment, though, it's just a scrappy old game, this. Neither team's playing well. There's that ball over the top again that's caught us out. And that is not a good sign. Especially as we are favourites. We have no pace. This is the problem. We've got no pace at the back. And I really don't want to drop the line back any further. But because what I'm seeing is that they are playing these balls over the top, then the only other option that I've got is to raise the line. And this may seem silly that I'm going to raise the line. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I need to compress the midfield. Because if I can't match them for pace up front, and they do have a lot of pace, then I'm going to have to stop the balls getting to them. And also what that might mean is identifying the players who are going to be playing those balls to them. And they're going to be coming from here. And we need to find the players. It's not him, but he needs closing down and turn him onto his left foot. So we're going to close him down and turn him onto his left foot. So Humphreys is probably the one who's putting those balls over the top. He's a good passing and good vision. And so we need to turn him onto his right foot, hard tackle him, and tight mark him. Hard tackle him and tight mark him. So his right foot, I think it was. And hopefully we will stop him. And now I will go to my own tactics. And where was Humphreys? What position was he? He's on their left-hand side. So my right midfielder, I want him closing down more often. I want him marking tighter and tackle harder. And generally we're going to build up this tactic. I wish you could save your choice of staff responsible. Yeah, I mean, me too. Loco, I think it would be really cool if you could do that. I think it would be just absolutely. I think you're right. It'd be so cool if you could save what you wanted the staff to do. I think for a beginner, what you don't want to be doing is being involved in any of the decisions that are being made, like staff or like even scouting and getting involved in all that nonsense. You don't want to be doing that. You just want to be focusing on the game itself. And we need to get back into this game if we can at all, if it's at all possible. We're not playing very well, but we've come back into the game. According to the stats, we are the better team at the moment. According to the stats, we've got all the possession, which is the game that we wanted to play. They just caught us out. They caught us. One of the other things that we should be thinking about doing, because of the pace that they have, and we know they have huge pace up front, is to get the fullbacks to trigger press less often. We don't want our fullbacks running at them and getting themselves in a mess. So we want them to close down less often. And you got to remember that the highlights are going to be in favour of the opposition. So they don't need as many highlights as we do to score. So I always get really worried. We tend to have all the highlights and missing everything. And they'll have one highlight. But you can see the game is very, very close. Their XG is better because they've scored. But it's a very, very close affair at the moment. And we got to look like a team, boys. And Bradley Dack is not having a great game. And I'm not quite sure. It's the only striker I've got, really, is this guy, isn't it? Oh, he's not very good. What about Thompson? 21 years old. Let's give him a game. He can't do any worse. So we'll bring Thompson on for Dak. He can't do any worse. And Joe Bellingham is a good player. Could probably do a job as a centre mid. So Joe Bellingham, 17 now, too young. Okay, so we just need to just keep an eye on this. Still a lot of work to do with this team, but the early days yet. So do not worry if you lose games at the beginning. It's not a big deal. You will eventually, your team will eventually get it together, and you will start winning games. And after this, as we're coming up to an hour and a half, what I might do is just go forward into the future, and we'll see how we'll add to this tactic, and we'll see how then it works out over time when they get more accustomed to playing in this way. And then while it's going forward, a lead save. Oh, what a chance. There's no support up, but we've got the equaliser. And I did tell you that in your first season, the game will not be cruel to you. And it did seem like it was going to be really cruel to us because we went a goal behind very early on. But we had to make a decision, that's all. We had to make a decision about the lines. We know about their pace. The game showed us we're going to catch you out with the pace. I didn't want to drop the line back any further, so the only option I had was to compress the midfield. We did that. It's logic, really. We did that, and we got back into the game. Now, this is interesting because my assistant is saying that we should play for set pieces. And what we should be thinking about is it necessary? No, not really, because from open play, we are doing okay. Now, the game is being won now because of that simple thing that we did, pushing the line forward. And given the pace that they have, you'd think that when I did that, I was going to make a terrible error. But I only had two options, and the one was to bring the line back, which I didn't want to do. But if I didn't want to do that, then I have to do something else. So it's to compress the space in midfield. It was the only option that I had. And it's worked out. And we're winning the ball now, which is in midfield, which shows it was the correct thing to do. So that, remember, this is a puzzle. And it's going to ask you to make choices. We made a choice, got it right. And we're being rewarded now for getting that right. If we can get the ball into the box now again, we could get a third. Oof, that was close. So now that I'm feeling pretty happy with the way the game is going, I'll probably go to key highlights. So all you have to do as a new player to this game is focus on your tactic and making those decisions. And maybe one of the things that I want to do later on is to just get new players to the game used to how do you know what decisions to make. And one of them you saw there. You saw the fact that I had two choices to make. And identify beforehand that this team is extremely pacey. And then we have to make a decision, because if we don't do anything, they're going to cause us problems. So I only had two options, and just luckily I chose the right one. Easy to choose, because I didn't want to drop the line back any further. Patrick Roberts just signed a new contract. He's playing like a banana. Who's this boy? Ogyonsu. We haven't got much of a bench, have we? We're not very strong on the bench. He's not a bad player, this Bar, is he? So let's give Bar a run out. We'll give Bar a run out. So maybe what I will do at some point, nobody else is tired. We don't need to do anything at the moment. We'll wait for them to get tired. I can see Sirkin is getting tired. one or two others, Pritchard maybe, but we'll wait. So what I will do now, as I'm fairly happy with the way the game is playing out, we'll wait a minute until this free kick is done. But we have intercepted it. And he should stop because we don't counterattack. So he should stop, which he does, which is good. Pritchard looks inside. Into Thompson. What a chance. And so what I will do now is go to key highlights. I'm fairly happy that the game is going the way of us. I'll be very surprised if it goes the other way now. Which it looks like it might. But you never know what this game is going to do. But we've defended that well. From the stats, you can clearly see now we have got back into the game and we've become the better team. And so this system that we've set them up in is working very nicely for them. And we've just made it 3-1. And so that's all you guys need to do, is to think about, how do I set this tactic up? And you saw what we did. We kind of reverse engineered it. We picked something. We have to make sure there are enough players back when we're attacking. Well, I've got a set piece coach to do that. So I'll leave that to the set piece coach. He's not putting enough players back when we've got attacking set piece. Oh, that's a red card, referee. Red card. Yep, so we're in charge of this game now. And remember, the tactic is just about reverse engineer. Can we do it? And if you've got an attribute that's 13.5, you can do it. But if it's anything under that, under 13, you're not going to be able to do it successfully. You're going to be making mistakes. And mistakes cost you goals. So the principle of, if you can't do it, don't do it, is what we're working off. And it seemed to me that worked very nicely, that tactic. If we even the fact that we hold shape, and that was a very good win. We're off to a winning start, and we're up to 5th in the table, 3-1. We should have beaten Ipswich. They're not great, and so that was a very good win. But now we do need to go back to our tactic, and we have some stuff to do. Normally I won't do this until the first team is complete, but I'm going to just move it forward a little bit in time. So the inside forward, he's instructed to cut inside with the ball, which is exactly what I want him to do. I also want him to cut inside with the ball as well. Doesn't mean he will do that all the time, but just to give him the option to do it. My pressing forward, I want him to be a nuisance. So what I will ask him to do is mark the centre-backs. Be an absolute nuisance. And so Pragley Dak is going to get in the face of the centre-backs. That's what I want him to do. Pritchard, we already know we want him to get further forward. Yeah, I agree, Andrew. I think, but if you're new to the game, if you're absolutely never played this game before, or it's doing your head in, then you want to do as little as possible. What you've got to do is learn about things. So you set this up and you can play the game now. And then I have nothing to worry about except playing the game. But when I got 10 minutes, I'm going to go and watch some YouTube videos. I'm going to watch one on opposition instructions. I'm going to watch 3 or 4. And then I'm going to write, okay, I know how to set up my own opposition instructions now. I'm going to try it out, see if it works. And then, okay, I've learned how to do that. Now I'm going to learn how to do set pieces. So I'm going to go and watch some YouTube videos. I'm going to learn about set pieces. When I've learned, and I think I'm confident, oh, okay, I'll go and try that out now. So you're going to learn now piece by piece. But in order to be successful, all you need to do is these two things. Learn how to make a tactic and learn how to adapt within a game. And so what we've done today is we've set up a tactic. And so we set the tactic up. We're learning how to do that. And we're going to tweak it a little bit. I want these two guys to be using a little bit more aggression. He's not very aggressive, that boy. But he can tackle. So I want him to tackle harder. And I also want him to close down more. I want these boys to be in the face of the midfield. We're light in midfield. I want them working hard. So when I'm buying players for this later on, I need people who are going to work their socks off. I need people who can tackle, who can mark. I'm not really that interested in passers of the ball. I can convert him to a playmaker later. But these two boys need to win the ball for me. He also needs to have a creative spark about him and get forward as well. This guy just generally needs to be a babysitter. And so we look at what he can do. He can tackle. So I want him to tackle harder. Mark tighter and tackle harder. He can do both those things. Closing down. Is he able to close down? Stamina is good. Good pace, good acceleration. Not very aggressive, but he probably can close down. So I want him to close down more. Or might leave him just as a balanced. So these two guys are going to become crucial for the team, putting pressure on the opposition midfield. And my defenders, I'm going to have a look at my defenders and look at their abilities. Tackling, he's good at tackling. He's brilliant at marking. So I want him to mark tighter and tackle harder. I want him as an attacking threat. His finishing is quite good, so I'm not going to tell him not to shoot. And his passing is pretty good. So none of this. His dribbling, what is his dribbling like? His dribbling's not bad for champions, so I'm going to leave those things as they are. His crossing, it's decent, it's not brilliant. And he is a fullback on attack, and I want him up the pitch. So when he's crossing, what I'll ask him to do is I'll ask him to cross from the byline so that he's not crossing from here. I want him to cross from up here, so don't cross from around this area. So I'm going to make these changes. Brilliant tackler, brilliant at marking. So I want him to mark tighter, tackle harder. And very aggressive, plenty of stamina. Acceleration's okay. But I don't want my fullbacks to be closing down particularly much. Because he's on support, I want him to sit narrower. I don't want him out wide. I want him to try and condense and be more compact. He can stay out wide because he's an attacker. So I'm actually going to do all this looking at what these boys can do. He's very good in the air. Good marking is good, but not brilliant. His tackling, so I want him to tackle harder. So one of them can tackle harder. And if we look at O'Brien, marking, probably better to have him tackle harder. And to have this one mark tighter. So I'm going to make changes via the individual instructions, which will allow the tactic to develop a little bit. And those really are just basically like the fullback. I just want him sit narrower, get closer to the central defender so we're more compact. allow them the outside a little bit. For this guy, we just want him. He's got an attacking role. I want him to be attacking. And when we are playing against teams like Ipswich, who are pacey, they can close down less often. If they are extremely good teams, then I might put him on support as well. I might even, in the future, once they get used to the tactic, I might switch them to wing backs. But as you can see, that's moved already. Even after one game, they are much more familiar with how we want them to play. They were a direct passing team before and had no idea about this. Now they're passing. If we look at their passing there, it's accomplished. So this moves very quickly towards familiarity. When you have set your tactic up and you lose, don't think, oh, this is the end of the world. I need to change everything now. Don't do that. And I see people so often. They lose 2 games and suddenly they start saying, no, I'm going to have him as a winger now. I'm actually, no, I'll try him as a trequartista. They do all kinds of crazy things. And I think we'll have him as a complete forward. And they start changing the roles and they start changing the players and they start changing the instructions. And a tactic is the way you want to play. You've got to set your tactic up believing I have the right way of playing and that this is going to be effective. We know this is going to be effective now because we've just won our first game in the championship. We are going to win games. We might not win games, all our games, but it doesn't mean that we have to change everything every single game. You'd have to accept that you're going to lose sometimes. Who is Clark? You see, I don't know this team. He got 2 goals, did he? Fantastic, excellent performance. And so basically, I mean, those are when you're a beginner, forget all of these tabs. It's not important. Forget the finances. Even now, I have no idea what's going on in here. What you could do as well, we've forgotten mentoring. People don't know how to set up mentoring groups. Just ask the assistant to do it. He's a very, very good assistant, so let him do it. And go away then, maybe not yet because you're learning about something else, but one day go away and go and find some stuff that you can learn. How do I set up mentoring groups? And gradually, one thing by one thing, you will take things over. Go away and learn how to do training. That will take you a while, but just add to what you're doing bit by bit. For the moment, just leave your staff to do everything and then learn. And if you want to, take it over. I used to do everything when I was, before I was doing YouTube 2 years ago, I used to do everything. It's time consuming, very, very time consuming. But I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed getting under the bonnet and tinkering and changing things and really like looking at the opposition as well in terms of the individual players and examining the individual player on the opposing team and where was his danger. Just really going into the nuts and bolts. Since I've been doing YouTube, I don't have the time anymore. But I have found you don't need to. And if you don't need to and you don't want to, don't do it. But if you want to, then go away and learn how to do it. And then you can obviously advise others and you'll get better at the game. But it's not necessary. You can still win games with just a tactic and some knowledge of how to actually tweak in game. And that's what I want to focus on when I'll do another one of these. We've done the tactic and setting up now. And I'll do another one of these where we play some games and we look at what kind of things do we tweak. Today, what we saw was that the only thing I did was push that line up. Now, it does not mean that in the next game I'm just going to automatically push the line up. I've identified that is the best for us to play. However, Ipswich were extremely fast and exploiting this space. So that's what I need to worry about in the next game is, are this team going to exploit that space? And what it might mean is I have to have a look at their opposition. They're playing with a 4-4-2 and therefore they're going to be pacey. So I have to look at these two boys and decide whether they are going to be extremely dangerous and exploit our midfield. And they probably are. So I'm going to probably need to type mark those boys, take them out of the game, and look for how I'm going to change it on the day. So all we did today was push the lineup, and that was because I was given a choice. I could see from what was happening that it was too easy for the opposition to get passes from here. Even though the fact we were stepping up, they still could get passes over the top into space. And one of them led to a goal. There's no way I wanted to stretch that midfield when we only have two in there any further. So the only way I could go was to push it up and type mark and take those midfielders out of the game. And it worked. And so you'll get used to what can I do to solve particular problems. And I guess I'm going to call it a night for tonight. I've enjoyed doing this, and I hope that if there have been beginners coming in and out, that you have got something out of it. I will do one more, just to think about, just to play some games and have a look at what kind of changes you can make. What other changes could we have made? Well, there's changes you can make, like increasing the tempo. Why might you do that? Why might you lower the tempo? What would lead you to do that? You might want to start playing out of possession. What on earth would possess you to do that? You might want to pass into space. There's a number of things that you can do. You might want to go a little bit more narrow. Why would you want to do that? For what reason would you do that? You might want to increase your width. Again, why would you want to do that? Mixed crosses, I'm not a fan of, so we can change that now to low crosses. And why didn't I play for set pieces when my assistant was telling me, play for set pieces? Why didn't I? And I would normally take his advice if we were not getting shots on target. If we were creating chances but not getting shots on target, then I might say, yeah, let's go for it, because open play is not successful. So let's try this one. But while we were getting shots on target and dominating the match, scoring goals, I didn't want to stop doing that. So that was about altering the way things were going. And if I felt that if I went and played for set pieces, then we might not be so effective in open play. And we hadn't scored from a set piece. So it was that judgment call. No, I'm not going to do it. We're scoring anyway. If we weren't scoring, I would have clicked it on after he advised me. Dribble less was the right call. And so there are things that we will do in here, things we'll do with the passing. We will look at this, his whole shape. Do I want to counter press? Are they getting too much space in front of me? Do I need to counter press? Do I need to trigger press more often? Are they having far too much time on the ball? Do I need to... There's so many decisions you can make. And of course, the lines. You have to be very careful with these trigger presses, because once you start getting into this realm, your players are going to be running around a great deal. They don't have the stamina you're going to find yourselves conceding late goals. If they don't have the fitness, the stamina, the aggression, you're going to find yourselves getting pulled out of position, and the opposition are going to be scoring goals. These are decisions you have to make in game, but so far so good. Okay, I'm going to call it a day there, guys. We will come back and do one more and look at how we may have to play a lot of games and look at how we alter in game. But for a beginner, forget everything. Just let the staff do it. Set it up as we did. Let the staff do it, and you can then just focus on your tactic and the in-game decisions that you have to make when it's not working out. If everything's working out, you don't have to decide anything. Just go with what is happening. And that's it. I'm just going to call it a day for tonight. Eventually, if you learn about these things, you can take it over. But for now, just leave it to the staff. Why buy a dog and bark yourself when you can get results by delegating it to somebody else? So I'm going to bid you all farewell. Go and have a cup of tea now and something to eat. And we'll be back on Thursday. Thursday is looking quite good. We've had 2 entries in for the transfer window. One of them, I'm astounded how it's actually happened. It's a brilliant transfer window. And the team looks very good. Although we're only predicted to finish in 21st. But we've been there before. So yeah, the other one also has its pluses, so we'll have to think very carefully about which one we choose. The other one has got still £500,000 to spend, and one of them doesn't have Langstaff. The other one does. So that's going to be Thursday's going to be really interesting. And don't forget, guys, we have another episode in the Rocking All Over the Globe series that's coming out tomorrow. Plenty of things going on. So I hope to see many of you on Thursday. And all I'm going to do now is close this one. If you're a beginner, I hope you got something out of it. It's how I play. It's why I win so many trophies. So I will bid you all farewell and see you in the next one. Take care, guys, and we'll see you soon.